Our three classes of flatworms are the turbellarians, which most people don't call them that, they call them the planarians. Planarian is the basic flatworm. It's pretty much every picture I've shown you thus far. Oracles on the side, eye spots, that's the planarian, okay? So that one right there is a planarian. Next, the trematodes. Trematodes are a parasitic version of the flatworm, and they're the blood ones for the most part. They're in your blood, organ systems feeding off blood, things of that nature. And then you have the cestodes, which are more commonly known as the tapeworms. Tapeworms don't eat blood. Tapeworms eat what?
Cells.
Your food. They steal your food out of your digestive tract. That's how they parasitize you, okay? If I had to pick, I would say, I would definitely go with digestive parasite before I would go with blood parasite. Digestive parasite, lose weight, probably be very hungry, poop out worms, poop out eggs of worms. That's pretty much it. Blood parasite, die. Okay, I don't know. I guess you pick.
Hey, also tapeworm. Might lose weight. Tapeworm.
People ingest tapeworms now on purpose to lose weight. You can buy them on the internet. They will embed into your intestinal wall using
That's pretty.
that picture right there.
That's,
Yeah. Okay, that's called a scolix. It's basically the whole anterior end, the head end, if you will, of that lovely little worm. If you notice, it has two things on it. So like the whole top end would be called the scolix. It has hooks and suckers. Now many people think the top of the worm, where those little cilia are, they think that's the sucker. No, those are the hooks. Because it's in a tube where the digested stuff flows by. So it could carry you away. So they use those to cram and bite, if you will, into the intestinal wall. That's how they stay in one spot. See all the other things around it on all sides? Those are the suckers. What do you think they do?
the other
They
food.
suck in the food, okay? Now, as the tapeworm grows, it adds segments to itself. The segments are called proglottids. They basically contain all the parts and pieces of the tapeworm. Now, there's a lot of different things that could be in there. I'll point out some that should make the most sense to you. This is the muscle cell area, obviously on the outside body wall. Anybody guess what these are?
Movies.
Your pheromones.
No. This is the flame cell leading to the excretory pore. And all these dots and stuff in here are usually the female and male reproductive sex organs. Okay? They are hermaphroditic. So we got that going on. And basically what they do is the sperm and egg the sperm and egg come together, making a zygote that they just call an egg. So tapeworms actually lay eggs. Now, as the tapeworm grows, the proglottids keep moving farther and farther back. So the new ones are added to the front end, which means the ones at the back of the tapeworm are the oldest. There are multiple ways that these guys can reproduce, but typically what happens is the sperm and egg come together in the old proglottids. Those proglottids fall off. You take a crap. What is in your crap? The proglottid, filled with eggs that have been fertilized. Now, how does this life cycle continue? You gotta somehow eat the poop. Some of you are like, nobody eats poop. What if there's tapeworm eggs in some cow poop? And they throw it out at suitors onto the field for the strawberries.
They're gonna eat that.
And they work it in, right? You know, there's some fertilizer and some poop fragments that are going to splatter all over the place. Even if it's worked into the dirt, there's still poop there. The proglotid still exists there. What if Mr. Strawberry starts to grow on the fence and a little raindrop goes? Some little proglotid poop fragments fly up on your strawberry. You go out there and you go. Don't tell me you wouldn't. A lot of people just eat fruit right off the tree, off there. You just got a tapeworm. That's why a lot of people tell you to wash your produce because you don't know what they're being grown in, around, etc., and you can get it, okay? Another way is through animal tissue. Some tapeworms actually leave the digestive tract, burrow through the intestinal wall, and burrow themselves into the meat of organisms, the muscle tissue of organisms. They can either die in that tissue and leave their eggs behind or stay whole. You then go to your little steakhouse and you don't like your steak cooked. Yeah, you want those rare, medium rare, like a little blood in the steak. It's fine. I'll tell you what, it tastes better. I agree. Not dried out. You better hope Mr. Cow don't have any eggs or little proglatids burrowed into that meat. Because if you cook it all the way through, they'll kill them. The heat will destroy the cellular. It'll destroy the cell. But if not, you just got a tapeworm. A third, 33% of Americans have intestinal parasites. Actual. 1 in 3 of you in here has intestinal parasites. If you're the rare burger eaters or medium rare burger eaters, or you're probably the one. Some of you will never even possibly know you have them. There you go, see? So think of it in a positive way. Eat a lot and not get fat. The next phylum is something called nematode. The nematodes. Perhaps you remember me explaining them to you before. Maybe with a parasitic fungus called Arthrobotrys, which caused it to swell, cutting the nematode in half and then they eat it. Nematodes are roundworms. That's why they're called that. They're roundworms. Most of them are parasitic, at least the fun ones. Those are the ones we're going to dissect in class. Very simplistic organism, called the roundworms logically because they are round. Flatworms were called flatworms because they were, but it's kind of weird. Tapeworms almost have a rounded appearance. Yeah, okay. They're pseudocoelomates. I should say that word. You should all automatically know exactly what that means. Fake body cavity. Only lined with 1 layer of mesoderm, not 2. Still a fluid-filled cavity, though. They're called the nematodes bilateral. They're cylindrically unsegmented worms which taper at both ends. Huh? No segments. Taper at the end. Like a fish worm, basically. But they're not a fish worm. Alright? Those are annelids. Millimeter up to 9 meters. So they can get pretty big and be very small. Found in pretty much everywhere. You know, they live in the dirt. They can be found in decomposing matter. There's some decomposers. There's some parasitic ones. Okay, rotting apples. Nematodes love apples and love fruits and decompose them. It's like they've actually seen a nematode-infested apple and have counted it. Said the most they ever found was over 1,000 nematodes inside of one rotting apple. Okay. They're parasites, etc. This is my favorite one to talk about. Why? Not because of any of this. That's boring. Who wants to know about ganglia? Hydrostatic skeletons, I mean, that's easy. The fact that this is probably right here, this organism right here is the fastest developing organism on the planet. Every one of them only has a specific number of cells, and they believe that by studying this organism that they will be able to stop the aging process in organisms completely, stop you from ever getting old. Although